Okay, so I am going to talk Australian politics now. Sorry for anyone who's not familiar with Australian politics, but okay, so the upshot of what's going on at the moment, look, basically speaking, the Prime Minister of our country, a man called Scott Morrison, who is a Liberal National Coalition leader, which is a party that's got very strong ties to the Christian Church, has announced that he wants to change the anti-discrimination laws to prevent people discriminating against religious groups.
Well, the government has released the Ruddock Religious Freedom Report, a brisk 7 months after they received it. However, the issue of discrimination against LGBTIQ students and school staff has not been resolved, with the government announcing the recommendations of the report which deal with those controversial matters will be subject to further review. 15 of the recommendations have been accepted, and the government has announced new laws to protect religious freedom, including the appointment of a Religious Freedom Commissioner.
We know that not all Australians share the same religious beliefs, and we know that the religious composition of Australia is changing. That's fine, of course it's fine. It's part of a modern society that respects and tolerates each other. But I do know this, that Australians are substantially united that all beliefs and all Australians, including not having a belief, should always be respected.
Now, his beef is that churches can't discriminate against people on grounds of ethnicity, on grounds of sexuality, gender, disability, etc. Well, seriously, Scott Morrison, if you ever see this, why the fuck should they be allowed to? That's just a basic thing people aren't allowed to do. But apparently, other groups are allowed to discriminate against people of faith. Now, he is trying to sell this as about ethnicity, because people from other countries and the First Nations people of Australia often have faiths other than, although he's not stated it directly, Christianity. Let's break this down and look at the problems here. Australia has offshore detention centres, Manus Island and Nauru. The Liberal National Coalition set those up a very long time ago. They were originally onshore on the mainland of Australia, and they were moved offshore so that less people would protest about them, be able to get to them, and would hopefully forget about them. And recently, this particular government stopped Doctors Without Borders going there to provide aid and refused to sign the Human Rights Charter, because, yeah, people would then be able to investigate, and there'd be a lot of questions to answer. So saying, yeah, no, my party doesn't want discrimination against people of ethnicities other than Caucasian, are you fucking kidding? And saying that religious people shouldn't be allowed to be discriminated against if they have to let people of different sexualities, different genders, different ethnicities become part of their church. Really, what's he actually asking here? Is his compromise everyone's allowed to discriminate equally, or nobody's allowed to be discriminated against? Because what it actually is down to here is that his party is a party that has heaps of backing from the Christian Church. The Liberal National Coalition actually voted against marriage equality in this country. You know, it's not, they're a hugely discriminatory party, and the idea that churches don't discriminate, that churches are being painted as this group that have done nothing wrong. Anyone following news in America will know about the George Pell situation, which is not being talked about here in Australia because there's a media blackout on it. You know, And, you know, this whole anti-discrimination thing, you know, people can't be discriminated against, is not being extended to religious schools.
Scott Morrison's rushing a bill to Parliament to remove a previously little-known legal exemption allowing religious schools to kick out gay students.
This is just... I can't even summarise the level of hypocrisy or insult that this actually represents. This is staggering in the extreme. Seriously, what the absolute fuck?